Well, first he showed up in Ferguson amidst the chaos, and now Reverend Al Sharpton says that he plans to visit Baltimore this week. And that's not all. Sharpton wants to plan a 2-day march in May from Baltimore to Washington. Sharpton says that he wants answers in Gray's death. But is this the kind of help that this community really needs right now? Joining me now is the founder of Staying True to America's National Destiny, Pastor E.W. Jackson. Pastor, thanks for being with us this morning. Obviously, a tragic loss here, but now what we're seeing in terms of consequence in these protesters, is Al Sharpton the answer?
No, he needs to march right back to New York and go back to MSNBC, whatever place he chooses to espouse his demagoguery. I want to point out the irony, Elizabeth, that we have this happening while we have the first black president, the second black attorney general, a city in which there is a black mayor and a black governing structure. It tells you something is sorely wrong with the leadership, and Al Sharpton represents that leadership when you have this kind of eruption where you have black people in effect in control.
You know, I thought one of the mistakes people have been pointing to is that of the mayor, who you just alluded to there, when she said we gave space to destroy. And these are not peaceful protesters. We see violence, we see riots, we see fires and destruction. 15 police officers were injured, seriously so, trying to tame this fire here, to include the proverbial gas and match that is Al Sharpton into this equation. Can't make things better. Can it?
Well, you know, isn't it interesting that when the president talked to the governor, who's now called out the National Guard, he told him to restrain himself. He cautioned restraint. What about restraint against these thugs? What about restraint against attacking police officers? The good people in Baltimore need to stand up and tell these folks, you don't represent us. Al Sharpton, you don't represent us. We will solve our own problems working together with our elected leadership. Right now, what you've got is chaos, and I lay it at the feet of these leaders who have demagogued the issue of race.
You know, I look back to when Al Sharpton said earlier, as it pertained to Eric Gardner right here in Staten Island, we're going to burn this thing down. I mean, I can't imagine the solution being Sharpton here, but as a pastor, what is your message to people who may feel pain, who may feel that they want justice in terms of finding out what caused the death of this young man, but at the same time shouldn't be called to violence?
Elizabeth, it starts in the family. You got to rebuild the family, have fathers take responsibility for their children. You got to put the church back at the center of the community's life. Have these pastors, who I understand are standing up, have them begin to say, look, this is not what represents the very best of the black community, and this does not portend well for the future of Baltimore. And you've got to have political leadership, frankly, that is not interested in demagoguing race, but interested in real progress in the black community. Better education, jobs. How about the president get some of these billionaires who support him to go into these communities and privately invest in helping make these communities more economically viable?